Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. If you want to stay ahead of dangerous weather and get the latest updates, be sure to follow Sky Alert USA. Support us by subscribing, liking, and dropping a comment below. Your engagement really helps us keep bringing you these critical updates. So, don't forget to stay connected. Major Arctic blast and winter storm crisis. USA and Canada face historic, cold and dangerous conditions. Breaking. Polar vortex brings life-threatening weather across North America. Good day, everyone. This is Sky Alert USA bringing you urgent weather updates for Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. We are tracking one of the most significant winter weather events of the season as a powerful Arctic blast and major winter storm system bring dangerous conditions across the United States and Canada. Millions of people are under winter weather alerts right now, and this is a situation that demands your immediate attention. Current weather situation: a dangerous start to the new year. The new year has arrived with a vengeance across North America. As we speak on January 2nd, 2025, a massive winter storm system is moving across the Great Lakes and Northeast regions, bringing blizzard conditions, heavy snowfall, dangerous ice accumulation, and frigid temperatures that could break records. This is not your typical winter weather event. Forecasters are calling this the Polar Express, and it's bringing some of the coldest air masses we've seen in years, possibly decades. Over 8 million people were under winter storm warnings as of yesterday, with nearly 2 million additional residents under blizzard warnings. The storm has already reached peak intensity and is now moving into southeastern Canada, but its impacts are far from over. Metropolitan areas in the direct path include Detroit, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Buffalo, Syracuse, New York City, and Boston. If you live in or near these cities, you need to be prepared for significant disruptions. The system originated as a disturbance along an Arctic front near the Canada-United States border just days ago. What makes this storm particularly dangerous is the combination of heavy snow, freezing rain, extreme cold, and powerful winds, creating whiteout conditions. In Michigan's Upper Peninsula, up to 2 feet of snow has already accumulated in some areas, with wind gusts reaching 55 miles per hour. That's strong enough to down trees and power lines, and indeed, thousands have already lost electricity across the region. Lake-effect snow is adding to the misery, particularly downwind of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Some areas could see an additional 2 to 4 feet of snowfall through the end of this week as cold air continues to move over the relatively warmer lake waters. The National Weather Service has issued lake-effect snow warnings that remain in effect through Thursday morning, with the potential for dangerous travel conditions continuing well into next week. Ice storm warnings: a catastrophic threat. One of the most concerning aspects of this weather event is the significant ice storm threat affecting multiple states. Eastern Kansas, the Ozarks, Tennessee, the lower Ohio Valley, and the southern Appalachians are all under threat for significant sleet and freezing rain accumulation. We're not talking about a light glaze. Forecasters are warning that some areas could see over a quarter inch of ice accumulation, and in certain spots up to 1 inch is possible. Why is this so dangerous? Ice accumulation of this magnitude has the power to snap tree branches, bring down power lines, and make roads completely impassable. Even a quarter inch of ice can transform highways into skating rinks and cause widespread power outages that could last for days. Interior New England is particularly vulnerable, where ice storm warnings have been issued alongside the snow and wind alerts. In Quebec, freezing rain warnings and special weather statements are in place for Greater Montreal, Laval, Montérégie, the Laurentians, Lanaudière and the Outaouais. The freezing rain that began overnight is expected to persist into Monday, raising serious concerns about hazardous travel conditions, falling tree branches and power disruptions across one of Canada's most populated regions. The Arctic invasion, record-breaking cold on the way. As if the snow and ice weren't enough, an Arctic air mass of historic proportions is plunging southward across the continent. This is where things get truly dangerous. The National Weather Service defines Arctic outbreaks as very cold air masses that typically originate in the Siberian region of Asia, cross over the North Pole into Canada, and push south and east into the lower United States. While these events occur regularly, they only push this far south into the southern United States every 4 to 5 years. The last major Arctic outbreak of this magnitude occurred in January 2019, and it was linked to nearly 24 deaths and thousands of disrupted flights. Unfortunately, we're looking at a similar or potentially even more severe event this time around. Frigid temperatures have already arrived in the northern plains and are spreading south and east through the end of the weekend. Temperature forecasts show most of North America will be under a very cold air mass in the second week of January. This air mass is being sourced directly from the far north and pushed into the central and eastern United States by a deep, low-pressure system. The temperature anomalies are staggering. We're talking about temperatures 20 to 40 degrees below normal for tens of millions of people across the North American continent. Looking at some of the lowest temperature scenarios for the upcoming period, nearly all of the United States will experience near or below freezing temperatures, with the exception of California. A large part of the northern United States, Central Plains, the Midwest, and the Northeast can expect sub-zero temperatures. In parts of the Yukon in Canada, extreme cold warnings have been issued, with temperatures dropping to near minus 50 degrees Celsius. At those temperatures, frostbite can occur in minutes, and outdoor exposure becomes life-threatening. Regional breakdown: who's affected and how? Let's start with the Great Lakes and Upper Midwest. The Great Lakes region is experiencing some of the worst conditions right now. Blizzard warnings were in effect for sections of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, where widespread wind gusts of 35 to 60 miles per hour have created areas of near-zero visibility and massive snowdrifts. Travel has become very difficult to impossible in many areas, with numerous road closures reported. In Minnesota, forecasters warned of potentially life-threatening conditions, urging people in much of the southern third of the state not to travel. The combination of heavy snow and extreme cold creates a dangerous situation where anyone stranded could face serious risk. Wisconsin is seeing similar conditions, with 6 to 12 inches of snow forecast across northern portions of the state. Moving over to the Northeast corridor, the Northeast is bracing for a multifaceted assault from this storm system. Winter storm warnings extend from western New York through Pennsylvania and into parts of New England. Syracuse and areas south of Buffalo are expecting significant snowfall, while interior New England faces the dangerous prospect of substantial ice accumulation. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has warned that whiteout conditions are expected in parts of the state and urged residents in impacted areas to avoid all unnecessary travel. Parts of upstate New York could see up to 3 feet of snow from the combination of the main storm system and lake effect snow. In New York City, a snow alert was issued, with plows and sanitation crews prepared with over 20 million pounds of salt ready for use on the roads. While the city itself may see lighter accumulations compared to areas to the north and west, the combination of snow, ice and extreme cold will still create hazardous conditions. Now, the mid-Atlantic states. The mid-Atlantic is dealing with a complex mix of precipitation types. Areas from Virginia through Maryland and into Delaware are seeing snow transition to freezing rain and sleet, creating extremely dangerous travel conditions. Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. was forced to shut down runways due to snowfall, and the U.S. Office of Personnel Management has closed federal offices in the Washington, D.C. area with maximum telework in effect. Virginia State Police reported 248 crashes requiring their response over the past 24 hours. While not all were necessarily weather-related, the numbers speak to the hazardous conditions on the roads. Richmond and surrounding localities have also been dealing with water distribution outages due to the impact of the winter weather on infrastructure. Moving west to the Midwest and Plains, the Central Plains and Midwest were among the first to feel the impact of this system. Blizzard warnings were issued for areas of Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri and Iowa, with 6 to 12 inches of snow forecast, along with wind gusts over 40 miles per hour and periods of near-zero visibility. Wichita and Topeka activated warming shelters and staged emergency vehicles in preparation. Kansas City declared snow emergencies on both sides of the state line, with parking restrictions enforced on snow emergency routes to facilitate clearing operations. Interstate 29 was closed in portions of Missouri due to dangerous conditions. And finally, Canada. Canada is experiencing widespread severe winter weather from coast to coast. In Ontario, a rapidly intensifying low-pressure system is bringing prolonged freezing rain to areas north and east of Toronto, with 5 to 10 millimeters of ice accretion expected. Communities like Newmarket, Aurora, Georgina, Cobourg and Colborne are included in advisory areas. Across the prairies, Alberta and Saskatchewan are under widespread advisories for blowing snow, poor visibility and dangerous driving conditions, with some regions facing blizzard warnings. British Columbia's interior and mountain regions are dealing with heavy snow and difficult travel conditions. In Newfoundland and Labrador, a major winter storm in Green Bay and White Bay is bringing 40 to 60 centimeters of heavy, wet snow and winds gusting up to 110 kilometers per hour. These are near hurricane-force winds combined with heavy snow, a truly dangerous combination that makes travel essentially impossible. 3-day forecast, what to expect. So let's start with Friday, January 3rd. The main winter storm system will continue moving into southeastern Canada, but its impacts will persist across the United States. Lake-effect snow will continue downwind of the Great Lakes, with additional accumulations of 6 to 12 inches possible in the heaviest snow bands. Areas from Erie, Pennsylvania, through Buffalo, New York, and into parts of the Adirondacks will see the most significant impacts. The Arctic air mass will continue to push southward, with temperatures plummeting across the central and eastern United States. High temperatures in many areas will struggle to reach above freezing, with overnight lows dropping well below zero in the northern plains and upper Midwest. Wind chill values could reach -30 to -50 degrees Fahrenheit in the coldest areas, cold enough to cause frostbite on exposed skin in just 5 to 10 minutes. Snow squalls remain a threat across the lower Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and interior northeast. These are short but intense bursts of heavy snow with near-zero visibility that can create extremely hazardous driving conditions with little warning. If you encounter a snow squall while driving, reduce speed immediately, turn on your hazard lights, and if conditions become too dangerous, pull off the road safely and wait for the squall to pass. Now, Saturday, January 4th. Saturday brings no relief from the cold. In fact, this may be the coldest day of the week for many areas as the Arctic air mass becomes firmly established. High temperatures across much of the northern United States will remain below zero, with wind chills making it feel even colder. Lake effect snow will continue, particularly in the traditional snowbelt areas downwind of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Additional snow accumulations of 1 to 2 feet are possible in the most persistent lake effect bands. Travel will remain very difficult to impossible in these areas. The extreme cold will begin to spread into the southern United States, with freezing temperatures expected as far south as the Gulf Coast. Cities like Dallas, Houston, and even parts of Florida will see temperatures drop well below normal, with frost and freeze concerns for areas not accustomed to such cold. The National Weather Service in Miami has warned of a strong cold front arrival, with lows dipping into the 30s and 40s in parts of Florida. And finally, Sunday, January 5th. Sunday may mark the peak of the cold outbreak for many areas. Temperature anomalies of 20 to 30 degrees below normal are forecast across much of the eastern two-thirds of the United States and southeastern Canada. Some areas in Montana, Wyoming and Nebraska could see temperature anomalies of 30 to 40 degrees below normal, truly extreme departures from average conditions. Lake effect snow will finally begin to diminish somewhat, but snow showers and flurries will continue in many areas. Travel conditions will remain hazardous due to snow-covered and ice-covered roads combined with the extreme cold. Black ice will be a significant concern on roadways, as any melting during the day quickly refreezes as temperatures plummet after sunset. Another concern on Sunday will be the potential for infrastructure failures due to the extreme cold. Water pipes may freeze and burst, and power grids will be under strain as heating demand surges. Areas that lost power during the initial storm will face particularly dangerous conditions as temperatures remain well below freezing. Extended outlook. Cold pattern persists. Unfortunately, relief is not coming quickly. The extended range forecast shows the cold pattern persisting through at least the middle of January, and possibly into the third week of the month. Low-pressure areas are forecast to remain over the eastern United States, maintaining a northerly flow that will continue to funnel cold air from Canada into the United States. There are even indications that another significant cold blast could arrive around January 19th through 25th, potentially bringing temperatures 25 degrees below normal to the eastern two-thirds of the country. This would include extremely cold temperatures reaching far into the southeast and along the Gulf Coast, with readings in the mid-20s Fahrenheit possible from Texas to the Florida Panhandle and the Atlantic coast. The overall weather pattern is being driven by a phenomenon meteorologists call the polar vortex. A high-pressure system over the Arctic has essentially opened the floodgates, allowing frigid polar air to spill directly into North America. This is being reinforced by a strong blocking pattern that keeps this setup in place for an extended period. With such dangerous conditions, we just can't stress enough how important it is to take this weather event seriously. Here are some critical safety recommendations you really need to keep in mind. For those of you in areas under winter storm warnings, Please avoid all unnecessary travel. If you absolutely must travel, make sure to pack a winter emergency kit in your vehicle. That means blankets, flashlights, extra batteries, non-perishable food, water, a first aid kit, and a fully charged cell phone. It's a good idea to let someone know your route and expected arrival time too. Prepare your home for the possibility of extended power outages. Have flashlights and a battery-powered or hand-crank radio ready to go. Stock up on non-perishable food and water for at least 3 days. Keep your phone charged and enable wireless emergency alerts. Make sure you have adequate heating fuel and never use generators, grills or camp stoves indoors. These produce carbon monoxide, which can be deadly. Protect your pipes from freezing by letting faucets drip just a bit and opening cabinet doors under sinks so warm air can circulate. Disconnect and drain outdoor hoses and consider insulating pipes in unheated areas. For the extreme cold, dress in layers and cover all exposed skin when you head outside. Watch for signs of frostbite like numbness, white or greyish-yellow skin, and skin that feels unusually firm or waxy. Also, keep an eye out for hypothermia symptoms, including shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. Check on elderly neighbours and relatives. They're especially vulnerable to extreme cold. Make sure pets are brought indoors or have proper shelter, because even cold weather breeds can suffer in temperatures this extreme. If you lose power, close off rooms you don't need and gather everyone in one room to conserve heat. Wear warm clothing and use blankets. And please do not use gas stoves or ovens to heat your home, as this can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning. This weather event is causing massive disruptions to transportation networks across North America. Major airlines like United, American, Southwest and Delta have all implemented fee waivers for flight changes during this event. Thousands of flights have been delayed or cancelled, with the most significant impacts at airports in Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York and Boston. Numerous Amtrak lines have also been cancelled across the country. Highway travel is really taking a hit, with multiple interstate closures and thousands of accidents reported. State transportation departments are warning against any non-essential travel in affected areas. The extreme cold is also putting a lot of strain on power grids as heating demand surges. Utility companies are urging everyone to conserve energy during peak demand periods to help prevent outages. In some places, rolling blackouts may be necessary if demand exceeds supply. Schools across the affected regions have announced closures or switched to remote learning days. Many businesses are allowing employees to work from home, and government offices in several states have closed or moved to essential personnel only. This winter weather pattern is being influenced by La Niña conditions in the Pacific Ocean. La Niña usually brings colder and snowier conditions to the northern United States and southern Canada, especially in the northern Rockies, northern Plains, and Great Lakes regions. It tends to keep the southern United States drier and warmer, though, as we're seeing, this Arctic outbreak is temporarily overriding that tendency. The La Niña pattern is expected to stick around through winter and into early spring, which means we can expect continued active winter weather through at least February. Above-average snowfall is likely across much of the northern United States and southern Canada, with peak snowfall expected in the higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest. This is a serious, potentially life-threatening weather event that really demands respect and preparation. The combination of heavy snow, dangerous ice accumulation, and record-breaking cold creates a perfect storm of winter hazards. If you're in an affected area, please take all warnings seriously, stay informed about changing conditions, and above all, prioritize safety. Stay tuned to Sky Alert USA for continued updates as this situation develops. We'll be monitoring conditions around the clock and bringing you the latest information as it becomes available. Remember, your safety is our top priority. Stay warm, stay safe, and take care of each other during this dangerous weather event.